What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 98 of the In the Round podcast. It's your boy, Matt Burrill. Shout out sweet boy behind the camera, Matt McElwain, video producer extraordinaire, stellar drummer, phenomenal drinker, and ladies, he is single. So hit up our boy, Matt McElwain. And shout out to Trey Lewis and the crew for letting us use this luxurious space, the DM Monday Studios, here on Division Street in the heart of Music City, Music Row. Phil, for episode number 98, we have got a really cool guest. I guess a fellow Yankee, in a sense. He's from Maryland. It's my boy, Sam Grow. Me and Sam have been friends on the internet for a long time. We've got a lot of mutual friends, and so it's cool to get to sit down with him and talk about what he's got going on, his move to Nashville, dad life, everything that he has got cooking right now. He's a badass artist, badass writer, and I hope you guys enjoy this episode as much as we enjoyed recording it. Now, I got to tell you about our sponsors. We have got our friends at Whaletail Media. It's no secret, Whaletail Media, we made some big fucking waves last month at Live Oak with our third annual Whaletail Media Takeover. The level of artists that Whales works with, the quality of work that him and his sister Gracie and his boy Beezy and the crew that they put together to get projects done, they are next level, and they're there to work for you. So hit up our friends at Whaletail Media, and if you're getting hitched, they're doing weddings too, so hit up Whaletail Media. Next, we got our friends at Saxman Studios, Grady Saxman and the boys. They've worked on all kinds of shit, from platinum selling songs to the next big thing here in Nashville, Tennessee, and they're there to work for you. Nashville, Tennessee, they're out of Mount Juliet, actually, so be sure to hit up our boy Grady Saxman and his team at Saxman Studios. And last but certainly not least, our boy Mitch Wallis with The Digital Marketing Agency. Mitch is a badass dude. He's one of our good buddies, and TDMA, he's got a great team behind him. Content. He's there to help you out as well. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. This is episode number 98 with our boy Sam Grow. You're listening to the In the Round podcast. But yeah, dude. So how long have you been down here in Nashville?
8 years.
You've been here 8 years?
Yeah, 8 years.
Fuck.
Yeah, I came down here crazy story. My bass player, Gene, who's been playing music with me since I was 14 years old. He's like my second dad.
Yeah.
And he was like, man, if we keep playing in Southern Maryland, like, we're just going to end up staying here. So he went home and emailed every producer in Nashville. And he got in touch with Matt McClure, who produced Lee Brice.
Oh, sick.
And Matt McClure's like, yeah, I kind of dig this guy's sound. If you're ever in town, let me know. Well, Gene immediately books us a National Underground gig when National Underground was on second.
Yeah.
Just no one came there, but he books it so we could go and play. And dude, it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon on like a Tuesday. And he's like, you have to hit up Matt McClure, man. Like, he said if we come here, he'll come. I was like, Gene, he's never going to come to this show. So I texted Matt McClure, and I started that text message off with like, bro, I know you're never going to come to this gig, but we're playing at 1 p.m. At National Underground if you'd like to come and see me play.
Oh, jeez.
Well, dude, he came with his wife. And he sat down, listened, and at the end he was like, hey, can you stick around for 2 more days? I was like, yeah. So he took me over to Ole at the time. Now it's called Anthem.
Yeah.
Publishing. John Ozier, I sat and sang for him and Ben Strain. And John Ozier offered me a publishing deal on a napkin. Like, he was like, yo.
How it works, man.
He's like, yo, will you stay? And I was ready to sign it because at the time, he was like, I'll give you $30,000 a year to be a songwriter. I'm like, hell yeah, dude. I was in a van, so I was like, hell yeah. And Matt was like, no, don't sign it. And I was like, you're crazy, dude. Like, this guy, I didn't even know you could get paid to write songs. Like, I want to do this. He's like, just wait it out. So then Matt took me over to, unfortunately, Drew Alexander's passed away now, but one of my favorite people in town, he was. And it was over at Curb. Did a retreat with Curb, and then Drew Alexander offered me a publishing deal. Well, Matt McClure did this on purpose because Drew Alexander and John Ozier hated each other.
Oh, the bidding war.
I got a bidding war.
Hell yeah.
And, dude, I'd been in town for maybe a week and a half, and I got a publishing deal, one of the highest publishing deals that year.
Oh, shit.
And, yeah, all because Matt McClure helped me out, and all because Gene sent like 800 emails. But yeah, and then I've been here ever since, just writing songs.
Hell yeah, dude. What was the cover? Because I'm guessing you were doing like the cover scene back in. What's that? Are you doing shore gigs? Are you doing like small town, like trailer bars with because people think of Maryland, they think of Baltimore. They're like, okay, it's kind of near like the Chesapeake shit, like that Del Mar, all that stuff. But there's some redneck podunk areas.
Well, that's what people don't ever understand. They're like, yo, you're from Maryland. Why do you talk like that? Well, I'm middle state, basically, Virginia.
Yeah.
Like, the closest city to me is Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Yeah.
So, like, that's where I would go when I went to the mall. So, it's down on the Potomac. So, I played all the small town bars and places. I played all the big town bars and places, too. But, yeah, just depending on whatever the gig was.
Did you ever go through Cancun Cantina in Hanover, Maryland?
Yeah. Dude, I'm playing there New Year's Eve.
No shit.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
We did a gig, or Trey did a gig. It's the guy that I'm out with. I get to be the tour manager, as I say, the babysitter of Trey Lewis and the band of heathens over there, Matt McElwain, the drummer. We played, we were up there, and it was the day that the COVID restrictions ended in Maryland. So for whatever reason, it just worked out that way. Maryland gets down to some country music, bro.
Oh, dude,
and I was not expecting it at a place called the Cancun Cantina.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this place going to be like? And it's an interesting setup in there, but they get down to the music, man.
Yeah, dude. It went through, I think if y'all were there at that time, it had just switched back into good ownership. For a minute there, it was bad ownership. I hadn't been there for a while. They were like not about country music anymore, even though like that club was kind of built on it. Like,
it was like a historical spot.
Yeah, so that was like the spot to go and see country music and line dance was there. And dude, Maryland has so much history in country music anyway. People don't realize that, but like there's a ton of history all through there. But that spot was like the country spot if you're in the Baltimore area.
What was like your first round of gigs? So you start playing music at 14.
Yeah.
What does a 14-year-old Sam Grow doing playing music in Maryland?
So
what are the gigs like? Talent shows, open mics, mom and dad taking
small
you?
Town, small town stuff. There's this place called Hotel Charles, which is like my hometown's Grand Ole Opry, basically. And my dad was a regular there. And he convinced the bartender to let me play on Wednesday nights there for tips. And I had the big old black X on my hand and couldn't drink, but just sang, whatever they wanted me to sing for tips on Wednesday nights. And then that led to some person who owned like an Uno's in Waldorf to like come out and be like, oh, you should come play my Wednesdays at the patios. And then I'd go and play those. So just like one thing led to another, but all small town stuff. But I mean, dude, all that turns into, something that turned out to be a lot greater and a lot bigger. You start small, and then one person turns to 100, 100 turns to 1,000.
What was the smallest vehicle you were traveling around in with a band? Because I've heard of people traveling around Priuses. I've heard of people driving around like Sequoias, obviously passenger church vans, things like that.
I still have it. It's a 2001 F-150 5-speed, half cab, like tiny. I would throw my Behringer speakers in the back of that thing, and it had no cover, and it would just the speakers would get rained on, but they still worked. Yeah. So shout out Behringer. But dude, it was that small.
You were traveling with like a band at that point too. So you guys were packing in there.
Or I'd load as much as I could in the back of my truck, and then the other band members would ride around in their Jeeps or whatever they had, and we would just caravan
and just do whatever you could to play music for people.
Cheeseburger in Paradise, where it's a triangle, the stage as big as this coffee table, and we would just all fit on there, and I'd stand off onto the side, and we'd bring drums,
Yeah, so, you'd bring a full kit and make it work.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
So that's got to be like, Phil. You come down here. You said you moved down here 8 years ago. Mm-hmm. You have the stars align, the publishing deal, within a week. When did you feel like was it permanent that you were down here? Did you do some of the back and forth? Or because it's got to be hard to give up the gigs when you're gigging as much as you were to come down here and like, do you go back and still have those gigs? I know a lot of people that'll go back to Illinois or go back. These Southern folks have it very easy where their hometown gigs, Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, aren't that far. Yeah. Going back home for you is a little bit more of a haul to get those Friday, Saturday gigs.
Every week, man. I would go back, and that was part of my publishing deal, too. Ole, God bless them.
Oh, they took care of you for that.
They paid my trips back and forth on airplanes.
That's huge.
Yeah, so they paid my travel back and forth. And that was part of my thing, was because I had my guitar player and bass player who'd been with me since I was 14 years old, and at the time I was 26. So they depend on me. This is their full time gig. So they were like, well, you don't have to worry about that. We'll travel you back so you could go back and forth. And I did. I played 250 shows. I mean, the year I signed my publishing deal, I still played 250 shows that year.
Jeez.
Just lived on airplanes, bro.
That's 250 shows. Mm-hmm. That's some shit right there.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
That's some real road. Now, was most of that back home, or was a lot of that
everywhere? Every little thing we could do. But I mean, It was a normal week for me to play Thursday through Sunday every single week. And so I would come back. That was part of Ole's understanding too, is I'd come back Monday morning and I would be in the writing room at 11. And then Wednesday I would be flying out to get to my show on Wednesday night. But I did that for 2 years straight.
The definition of paying your dues, man.
Oh, man.
Something I feel like people need. I feel like maybe it's just because a lot of the artists that I've become friends with, or that I vibe with, or that I've worked for, they've come up doing that kind of thing where it's you pay your dues and grind. Whereas there's a lot of folks that come up, especially in today's day and age, where they don't have the experience of playing covered. They don't have the experience of playing in front of nobody for very little money, grinding, literally asking in the back of your mind, or there's got to be people around you that are like, "Why are you doing this?" And you're like, "I don't know how to do anything else. This is what I was here to do." And then there's kids that come up and they don't have any experience playing shows.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say, I have friends that make mad money off of Spotify and they've never played a show in their life. Like, they make music full time, never played a show ever. Like, literally never played a show.
Which is just mind-blowing to me, because to me, the live show is where the music stems from.
Well, I mean,
in my opinion.
Yeah, you get music from living, you know? Like, that's how you write songs. You got to live life.
Yeah.
So if you're not out there living, how can you really write, the real stuff? But also, I think that there's the facade that people don't understand, that like when somebody blows up on TikTok, there are some people that blow up on TikTok that have been grinding it out like crazy.
That's how we feel with Trey. You know, Trey was doing the 10 years of playing Mexican
restaurants.
Man.
Yeah, people don't understand.
Same kind of thing you were doing, man.
Yeah.
And there's lots of others that were doing that, guys, girls that from all over the country that were coming up in their local scenes.
Even Muscadine, man. Like, I love them. I know you went out with them for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know them personally. I love their music. I've always loved their music. Yeah. But, those guys, they were getting 1 million monthly listeners long before the TikTok days. You know, like when they were just grinding it out and playing as many shows as they could and expanding.
Yeah, and part of what they were doing, and this is like, because I remember, I feel like we've been internet friends for a while.
Oh, yeah,
you know, like that's funny, because like that's how I became tight with Nicky T from Raised Rowdy.
I love Nicky, man.
Nicky T, I call him Uncle Nick, because one, he's old. I'm not as old as he is, so I love you, Nicky T.
Damn, Nicky, you did you dirty, dog.
He's got about 13 years on me. But he knows I call him Uncle Nick, and I'm his personal driver because I don't drink anymore. And he's obviously Nicky T's front row, don't go, drink all the beers. Great human being. But him and I became tight over the internet, and I was always watching what like Raised Rowdy was doing and all that. I remember watching what you were doing, and it looked like you were out there doing all the shows all the time. Muscadine was doing that too, but what they were doing was the way that they were marketing their gigs, their weekly gigs that they had going up and down 65. They would drive down the Mobile. They had gigs in Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Montgomery, Huntsville, whatever. Then they'd go down, spend the week at home, write songs together, and then come back up and play their gigs. Yeah. But it's like making it look like it's showing the grind that you're doing. Yeah. And I feel like you did a really good job of that.
Man, having the content guys with you, and I recognized that pretty early with Instagram. I was like, man, if you can hire somebody to just kind of follow you around and show the act, then you can get enough people to like be interested in the respect of, man, like they're really working their ass off, So, I mean, I just was doing what a lot of those guys were doing, but became huge fans of them. And even Jelly, like I love Jelly Roll.
Oh, dude. Jelly to me is like the ultimate success story, especially because he's a Nashville guy.
Yeah, I seriously do have a problem with you if you can't root that guy on. Like, I'm like, you can't love Jelly Roll. I
forget which, I think it might have been Bustin' with the Boys, where he was talking about how he remembers watching the catch or whatever, the big play that the Titans had the year they went to the Super Bowl. And he was like, I watched it from my jail cell in juvie. You could see the stadium from the window. And it's like, fuck.
Dude, even his Opry story, like I went through on comments because there was like trolls on there, and dude, I just felt like it was a personal responsibility of me to go through and be like, "Yo, fuck you, man! Like, you don't talk shit on Jelly, But like, because even that story was awesome, where one of his first days out was going to the Grand Ole Opry and he sees Craig Morgan play. And then, like, that makes him want to change everything and just chase music instead of doing drugs, And I'm like, how many kids could have one of those instant kind of changes by watching him and seeing, like, oh, that worked out for him. Yeah. He's like me. So, like, there's so many of them, but there's a ton of people that look at Jelly and they're like, oh, that was overnight. And it's like, nah, bro.
No.
He was signed so Ole absorbed his publishing company, at the same time they signed me. So
so you knew?
I knew Jelly
So
before.
you've known Jelly back in the day.
Yeah, we both showed up to. We're both tattooed big dudes, and we go into this polished ass, real refined restaurant that Ole was like having this party, and everybody's in suits, and me and Jelly roll in, and we're like, oh, we could be friends, you know, like, and that's literally how it worked from then. But yeah.
Yeah, and it's like the world that you're in. You're with Average Joe's, and Jelly's kind of in that realm. Where like you're country, you're rock, you're Sam Grow. You're Thanks, you, man. You know, like you're not, you're authentically you. And that's what I've always liked about your music, going back from 5 years ago to your most recent releases. And it's like being what the guys at Average Joe's do. They have so many different styles of things over there. So did you grow up listening to that kind of stuff too? Like the hip hop rap stuff, or were you country and Skinnered and all that kind of shit?
I mean, I think that what made me respect and understand Average Joe's was I was a fan of Colt and I was a fan of Brantley Gilbert. Yeah. And old Brantley Gilbert stuff.
Oh, modern day prodigal son, halfway to heaven, the good shit.
Yeah. So like when I heard that, and I was like, holy, because dude, truth be told, when I started doing this, all I ever wanted to be was a rhythm guitar player in an emo band. Like I didn't even want to sing like at all. I just wanted to play rhythm guitar and sing background vocals. Yeah. That was it. I didn't want to be the guy. And the only problem was I'd keep getting bands with guys that weren't as serious, and they would say things like, man, if this could be a job, that would be so awesome. Like, no, this should be our job. I want this to be our job. Yeah. And then they would quit. So then eventually I just had to stop, be the singer, and then I would put out rock records. In Southern Maryland, and the radio stations, the country radio stations would play them. And I was like, shit, I want to be a rocker. And it just didn't work out. Like, I was like, I might as well just be what I am. But when I heard Brantley come out with his stuff, and you hear the big distorted guitars and shit, I was like, oh, well, I can, dance that line of still having a very guitar-heavy show and just pen it with a country lyric, and I'm good. I get the love of both. So that's how I heard about Average, was that. And then, of course, if you know Brantley Gilbert, you know Colt Ford.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So, and then I watched Colt and respected him not just as an artist and a grind, but like a writer. He's a really great songwriter.
Yeah, man. And he's just such a good dude. He was actually my first in my back, and again, to go back to the college radio stuff, and Brad gets this. When you're doing the radio stuff, you get there's a lot of cool perks to it. Money isn't one of the perks. You don't make a lot doing radio. It's a passion business. Yeah. But you get to meet a lot of cool people. And
Brad got pretty rich at the end. He won't ever tell you that, but he got pretty damn rich at the end of radio.
You build up your years,
And then he pieced out. He's straight up like Tom Brady that shit.
Hell yeah, let's go.
He's like, how much money? Hell yeah, 2 more years, buddy.
But so my first time going to a show as a radio guy. Granted, I was on a 20-watt college radio station nobody listened to, but I thought it was the biggest thing in the world. It was right when FGL started blowing up. So it was FGL, Colt Ford, and Dallas Smith, and we got linked up with, and it was just sending out emails and phone calls. Hit up a guy named Tony Morelli, who used to be over at Average Joe's back in the day.
Brad loves Tony,
and he was like, "Yeah, come to the show. Here's some tickets." And we went. It was in Philly. It was in Upper Darby, the Tower Theater in Philly, the Hood. Yeah, and we're just 4 drunk ass college kids wearing just ridiculous shit. The show was called Redneck Radio. That was the name of the radio show. Oh wow! So we played the part. It was a lot of guys from South Jersey that were from where Keppel's from, the Piney Power, Pine Barrens,
which is a very serious thing. If you talk to anybody from South Jersey, it's very important that you put the South in front of it. Or really
and South and North fight about pork roll.
It's like North and South Korea, bro.
And then South and North both. The one thing they agree on is that Central Jersey doesn't exist. Yeah, which I think that Central Jersey does exist. But I'm also from New York, so what the fuck do I know? But we got to meet Colt that night, and he was just the coolest, most hospitable guy.
He is everything that anyone could expect him to be by looking at him online. He is that same exact. There's no fakeness or mask to him at all. Everything you see is legitimately what he is. He's one of the sweetest dudes ever.
You ever play golf with him?
No, hell no. No, he's asked me, but I told him I would never play golf. No, hell no, man. I told him, I was like, I'll drive the cart and I'll be your weed passer, but I'm definitely not going to play golf with you. No. No, he has asked, but no, I don't want that ass whipping.
Because he's really good at golf. He was a pro, wasn't he?
He still is. He still has PGA card.
He still has his PGA card?
Yeah.
After all these years? I didn't know he still had that.
During COVID, when show stopped, he went back and played PGA.
No shit.
Yeah, catch Colt on TV.
He was
Playing
on
against John Daly.
What the fuck?
Yeah, dead ass.
That would be. Could you imagine? I mean, if Colt Ford called you up and said, "Hey, I'm hanging out at Old Hickory today with John Daly," you kind of have to go.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that's a bucket list thing to be play around. Even if like I'm not very good at golf, I have clubs, but I like going out there, smoking a cigar, smoking some other herbal substances from the ground. Yeah. But I feel like you got if John Daly and Colt Ford hit you up, you got.
Well, dude, his like regular for a while there was he calls him Bob. That's how you know they're for real
Kid
friends.
Rock, yeah.
Yeah, that's how you know they're for real friends.
Uncle Bob, yeah.
So it's him, Kid, and John. Like that's the normal trio that would go out and play golf. Like, shit, bro.
It's absurd.
If I was a golf course manager, I'd make sure the fucking insurance was like paid up fully before those guys went out. But like, yeah, that was his regular for a while.
What was like your first conversation with Colt Ford like? So how does the Average Joe's stuff kind of pop? How does the Average Joe's thing kind of pop up?
So my record deal was legit like the movies. I spent my whole career going pretty much labels are bullshit and never wanted them and avoided them at all cost. One of my best friends in the world is Taylor Phillips.
Dude, that's the first guy that I ever met in Nashville. 2017, I was down here visiting. I wasn't even living here. And I interviewed Taylor on my college radio show in the Holiday Inn in downtown. I interviewed him, Matt Roy, and Andrew Cirilla. Those are like my Taylor. I love Taylor and Matt Roy. They're great dudes. So yeah, so Taylor and Colt are buddies, I guess.
Yeah. So me and Taylor, we met. He was selling Kelly Pickler's merchandise, and I was on tour with Kelly Pickler. So of course I see him. He sees me, and he's like, cornhole buddies. So we literally played cornhole and got drunk on tour the whole time. And we just became friends, like really good friends. And he went out on a right on the bus with Colt. Well, he was looking at the day sheet and he was like, holy shit, the opener is Sam Grow. He's like, Colt is like my best friend. So he calls me, Taylor calls me, he's like, hey, can you come up on the bus, like come write some songs with me and Colt? So I get up on the bus, and it's me, George Burge, Colt Ford, and Taylor Phillips. And I'm just like, holy shit, this is wild.
What a combo. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're writing, and we wrote 2 or 3 songs. And I'm singing, and Colt's like, man, like, bro, why don't you have, like, a deal or anything? And I was like, I'm not interested, you know. And, I never expected him to be, like, kind of pining to see if he could sign me. I was like, yeah, you know, I'm just not interested. Labels, you know, they first – label experiences I had, they wanted to get rid of my band. And like I said, I love my guitar player and bass player. Like they're legitimately my blood. They might as well be my blood. So like that was never a question for me. Like I'll just keep playing music, and I made a great living, and that's all I ever needed, you know. Yeah. So we get done. He's like, you know, cool, I want to come watch the show. And he comes out, and Colt watches the show. And after we get done playing, he's like, hey, after my set, he's like, after the show's done, come back on the bus. I want to talk to you. I was like, okay, cool. So we get back on the bus after the show's over, and he goes, look, I know you don't like record companies. He's like, I know you don't like that whole scenario. He's like, but I really, really would like to sign you. I really want you to be on Average Joe's. And I was like, man, I don't know. And he goes, come up with the terms, whatever's comfortable. I'll give you a good split on a master. Like, it's for real. He goes, I don't want anything from you. I just want more people to hear your music. That's it.
I want to be the outlet. I want to be the vacuum that gets Sam Grow out to more people.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, cool. Dude, I didn't do anything because I thought he was bullshit. And then the VP for us called me, and he was like, yo, Colt's saying, like, he wants you to come and do a showcase for us. Like, we're down, you know, to be in the Sam Grow business. And I was like, wait, are you serious? And he was like, yeah. So I brought the band over there and played, and they pretty much offered me a deal on the spot. I went to my lawyer, asked for all the things that I wanted, and to this day, Colt and Eddie Montgomery will tell you I have the best deal on the label.
Let's
and
go, dude.
Colt goes, fucked up, man. You got a better deal than I do. But like,
his own label.
And I told him, I was like, you should renegotiate. But yeah, no, and dude, and he's always been a man of his word, and like first record, because he knew I was like kind of intimidated by the label thing. I thought they were always going to try to, I won't say the label, but my first label experience that I was about to sign to, they were very controlling, especially on the music.
Well, 8 years ago, I feel like the label scene was different than it is now, too, because
so much.
I feel like, and as much as I loved being a radio guy, the power of streaming and the power of being able to do it your damn self and do it how you want to do it and not needing as much assistance, they don't have as much control as they used to.
100%.
So 8 years ago, it had to be,
dude,
or however many years ago that first experience
it was a nightmare.
Had to be crazy.
Yeah, it was a nightmare. And Colt was like, you know, I don't want you to feel like I'm trying to intrude on anything. he was like, so here's a check. And he gave me a check, and he was like, go make your first record. Turn in 15 songs, I'll pick 12. And he literally just wrote me a check to go and make a record. I hired my band to play on
so it's literally as much as Sam Grow as it'll ever sound.
Yeah, the Love and Whiskey record, dude, is my band
Let's
playing
go.
on the record. And the album went #1 on iTunes.
Yeah.
So then Colt called me, and he always does this, man. Like, it's so amazing to me that whenever there's, like, accolades in my career, he's always one of the first ones to call me to just tell me that he's proud of me. And he was like, hey, I'm super proud of you. He's like, obviously, you've proven that, like, you can go in and make a record, and I've proven to you that, you know, I'm not trying to be invasive.
Yeah.
He's like, but second record, I really would like to be a part of it if that's cool.
Yeah.
And I was like, of course. And then, of course, our first track that we recorded, second run out, was Song About You, dude, and it completely changed my life.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been an amazing experience over there. I've learned so much from Colt, and I learned a ton from Noah Gordon, who also produced as well. And it's just been an awesome learning experience for me.
Hell yeah, dude. I mean, it's really cool to see a guy that it's wild to hear about the Taylor Phillips connection.
Yeah.
Obviously, our boy Kepsey, the big. Honestly, he was telling me, and I was like, I know he was saying, you better have some whiskey in the studio. Sam likes it. Sam likes George Dickel. He said that's
true.
that's your favorite. So hopefully, what we've got over here, we can get you a shot.
Yeah,
of
I got
Dickel.
some makers, man.
Yeah, we keep it pretty stocked. Sweet Boy keeps it stocked with all that. He only really drinks the Fireball. The rest of it's for the guests.
Bro,
you know,
I retired on Fireball.
What's on the Sam Grow Rider? What are you drinking on
Brad
show
could
days?
tell you more so than me.
You want the most mild thing?
What's the most mild thing?
No,
Oh, Pedialyte. Okay, that's a good manager right there. If he's making sure you guys have Pedialyte,
Yeah.
that's excellent. Our guys like the Gatorade Light, the
yeah,
Gator
bro.
Light or
Dude,
whatever.
Pedialyte will change the game for you, especially if you drink.
Oh yeah, he's got it right there. He played Broadway last night. He's got
yeah,
Gator
those
Light,
things are
Gator
money.
Light in his.
Those are good, but those are new.
Yeah.
You know, those are new boys. That's when you're like in a really bad pinch and you're extremely hungover and you hit a gas station. Now the gas stations keep those pretty roped.
Oh,
and then I also
Loves keeps them stocked.
Yeah, I also keep it's funny. I call it the cereal brand of Pedialyte. You know, like how in cheap grocery stores they'll have Lucky O's and it's really Lucky Charms, but it's Lucky O's or whatever. Like they have this. It's called Electrolyte.
Yeah, I had that the other day.
It's called Electrolyte, and that's what I was snagging.
Really nasty.
Yeah, dude, it's terrible, but it helps. It helps headaches. And then my thing was I would just drink one before the show. Then I could drink as much. I always drink whiskey straight. I don't ever mix it. So I drink it straight. And then after I'm done with the show, I'll drink another Pedialyte, and I'm normally pretty good to go the next day. Sorry for anybody who's watching this and that works for you because it creates terrible habits. But, dude, I've dialed back a lot. But,
were the cover days pretty wild back in the day? Like when you did, I mean, it's got to be different when you're playing in like your hometown area and it's like all your buddies watching you and there's not as many, like it's different now with being on the level that you're at now to where you were years ago.
Yeah.
Like where you probably were playing for, I don't know, like a couple $100 in a bar tab and you were using every bit of that bar tab.
Yeah.
Shit had to get pretty wild back in the day.
Constantly. I mean, the cover shows definitely are. But I found that like a lot of that was to have a good time. Nothing, and if you ask pretty much any musician, and no offense to anybody whose songs you have to cover, one of the most soul-sucking experiences is to have to get up on stage and play other people's song for an entire night.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, and I'm not ever ashamed to admit that it's true. The more that we all spread that word to let people understand how terrible it is for like actual musicians to play everybody else's songs instead of their own, the better. But like I would have to have a party situation to have a good time doing that. So I would do that. So then when I got to a place in my life where I was like, the show is my show, I found I didn't have to dig into the bottle as much because I wanted, what got me drunk at that point was singing my songs and watching people sing them back.
Being able to live in the moment more because you're happy with where you're at.
Yeah, experience
it. Doesn't feel like work. It feels like the dream.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's the highest of highs. When you write something and you worked hard on something, you know, whether you wrote it yourself or you wrote it in a room with two other guys, like it's watching somebody else sing that back to you is the highest of high you can have. It's way better than a drink, you know?
Yeah. Oh,
so
for
you
sure.
get to that place in your career where it's like, yeah, Jack's cool. I'll fill a cup and I'll have a sip, but I get drunk off of the show now.
Yeah. When did the songwriting thing, when did you start writing songs? Were you doing that shit up in Maryland back as a kid? Like when was that?
I started writing songs when I was like 10.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my parents like battled it out pretty hardcore, and then eventually like made the official split when I was like 12 or 13. So like that was my outlet, was I would listen to them argue, and then I would write that stuff down and
Very
create some
emo rock and roll, like
dude.
you said earlier, rhythm
Emo as
guitar for the
shit, bro.
2000s emo band.
Yeah. So I would just like that would be my thing is write it out, and it made me feel better. So I got addicted to that, and then of course as you get older and you start dating girls and they wreck your life, you can write that down to feel better. Keep instead of just penning it all up like most guys do. I would just write it down on paper.
Yeah, dude, and a lot of people can relate to that shit, which is the big thing. Like, what was the first song of yours where you were like, oh shit, people are feeling this? Like, where people were hitting? Because I know people hit you up on Instagram and hit you up on Facebook or whatever, or at the show, and are like, this song did something for me.
Yeah, my favorite and always will be my favorite is The Blame.
Yeah,
changed the game for me. Got me to be one of the longest on the horizon artists on SiriusXM.
Hell yeah!
And the coolest thing for me was it wasn't like just girl. For a long time, I did the whole, because 8 years ago, bro, that was like the pretty boy country era where like
bro country,
where like you're trying to sing to the girls, you weren't really singing to the dudes. And when I was on Olay, they like that was what they really wanted to have me pump out, was just like a bunch of songs that like really just make chicks pay attention to what I'm doing. But then when I wrote The Blame, that was the first time I saw like dudes send me messages and be like, bro, I'm that guy that you're singing about, and I want to change like how I am, and you hit exactly where I'm at in my life. And I was like, shit, that's what I want to experience more so than the girl that's just sending heart eye emojis,
Yeah.
So that song changed it all for me and made me realize like how much you can reach a person, because music and making music, it can be intangible sometimes, where you're just putting a song out and you're not realizing who's listening to it or what's happening. It's just a Rolodex of numbers and you're watching people spin, but you're not realizing what your music's doing to a person when they listen to it. So when you start getting actual messages from people being like, yo, this changed the way I thought, then you realize how powerful, this art is, and that makes you want to be more serious about it.
Amen.
At least for me.
Dude, 100%. Amen. I'm not a music, like, I don't have any musical ability. My parents pulled me out of chorus because I was the ADHD kid that couldn't have the attention span. And I wasn't even in, like, I didn't do chorus, band, I have no musical bone in my body.
I can confirm.
He can confirm. I mean, I'm just good at talking. I love the music. I love it, man. And it's really cool to talk to you about all this stuff and see how you feel that shit, man. Like, because there's a lot of songs with me, because I feel like I'm like, I get to work in the industry, but I feel like first and foremost, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Which is what's really cool. And I feel like a lot of artists are that way too.
Bro, I'll tell
but like, you're a music fan. Who was the first person that you were like, oh shit, I'm shaking this guy's hand?
Crazy, and I got to do it. So my biggest influence in country music is Ronnie Dunn from Brooks and Dunn.
Oh, shit,
it was because my dad, when he went through a divorce with my mom, that was the music that he'd roll around and listen to just go ahead and feel it and be sad. And Ronnie Dunn and Brooks and Dunn had this song called "It's Getting Better All the Time."
Yep.
And I remember just being a kid and riding around listening to it. My dad was super blue collar, super quiet, hardworking dude. Emotions was not his forte, but he'd listen to that song, you'd just see like a tear, and I'm like, damn, if something can break through on that dude, like, that's impressive.
Yeah.
So I just dove into the Brooks and Dunn stuff and cataloged so hard, and just loved Ronnie Dunn's voice and got to open up for him. And
Where was that show at?
Southern Maryland, bro. I got to play this place called Bayside Pavilion, and played it with him, and it was when he was doing the solo run.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, and
I was damn drunk.
Yeah.
Beer. Was it beer in Texas? I forget what the others.
Cost of Living.
Cost of Living, yeah.
God, that song, that whole fucking record's so good. I don't know.
Very
Kids, go listen to that record.
Very underrated.
Yeah, one of the best records ever. And Terry McBride's all over it, which is one of my favorite songwriters, and he's all over that record. But like, he came out, played, we opened, and in that set we did ZZ Top. Well, Brooks and Dunn and ZZ Top had toured together just before that solo tour with Ronnie. And Ronnie rode his little golf cart over to me on the backstage, and he said, "Hey, man, just want to let you know there's only one other band I've heard play Sharp Dressed Man better." And he said, and that's ZZ Top. He said, "Great job today." And I was like, holy shit. And I'm just like shitting my pants the whole time he's talking to me. And I was like, "Man, it's so nice to meet you." And he goes, "I'm Ronnie." I'm like, "Yeah, I know."
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, dude, he was one of the nicest guys, and super kind. And then, of course, one of my first co-writes in town, after my first co-write ever, was Steve Bogard, which that's nuts. And then after that was Terry McBride. And I had this rule, because Kyle Jacobs kind of brought me into town too with Matt McClure. And Kyle was like, "Yo, when you go into some of these writes, don't look these guys up." So he would literally write in the calendar, "Don't look," on some of these guys, because he didn't want me to get nervous. And Terry McBride was one of those dudes. And so I'm talking about Brooks and Dunn, and I'm just gushing. And Terry's like eating this shit up. And he's like, "Well, what are some of your favorite songs?" I'm like, "Man," he's like, "What's the party song you like out of them?" I was like, "Man, Play Something Country's like one of my favorite songs ever." And he was like, "Oh, cool." And he's just like playing it cool. Well, Terry's written all those songs.
Yeah.
He wrote all the songs. And then he was, at the end, he was like, "I got to show you something." And I still didn't know that he had played bass and wrote all the hits for Brooks and Dunn. And he comes over and he's like showing me this photo booth, and he's like, "And that's me right there playing bass." And I was like, holy shit. So Terry's still one of my really good buddies. He's singing background vocals on one of the new songs.
Let's go. Yeah, what's up with the new music, bro?
Dude, got so much of it. Just finished cutting 7.
Let's go.
Yeah, the new record's coming
Studio
out.
time, baby.
Yeah, the new record's coming out in October. Yeah, October. And been putting singles out every 6 weeks, but I think I have another one coming out in August, so this month.
Hell yeah.
And then we'll do like another teaser in September, and then one more big one in October that comes out with the record. And
dude, congratulations.
Thanks, man.
So this will be what, the second or third one with
Third
Overdose?
studio album.
The third studio album. So what's the involvement with this one?
Yeah, so Noah did the first 4. So the first 4 singles are out right now.
Yeah.
Noah produced those. Noah has now since opened up 8-Track Entertainment, signed like Shenandoah, and then bought into Fame Studio in Alabama, and like is doing his own thing a ton. So he's not on the back half of this album. So I self-produced the back 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but all of Noah's direction and knowledge, and Colt's as well, I stole pretty much everything. So if it sounds the same, it's because I absolutely copied what they taught me. So yeah, so it's me just trying to imitate Noah Gordon for the back half.
Hell yeah. Now, is this record, like, are you one of those guys? Because like Brantley Gilbert's one of these guys where it's I feel like Chris Collinsworth's saying one of these guys, but where it's like the different records are different chapters of his life, like Modern Day Prodigal Son, The Halfway to Heaven, to Just As I Am, The Devil Don't Sleep, all those records. For you, are you that kind of guy as well, where like this new record, we'll be hearing about what's been going on in your life kind of stuff?
I'm definitely not so intuitive to write my albums in chapters. Where I can just know like it's a Harry Potter series.
Yeah.
But
well, that's
like, God
true.
bless them for knowing where their life's gonna go, but not me. No,
but I'm saying writing about like what you're going through at that exact time.
100%. Like I'm definitely, I am writing what's currently happening in my life.
So is that like party stuff? Is that like family stuff? Is that like love stuff? Like what, reflective stuff?
No, I mean I definitely have a song on there that I wrote with Terry that's, I guess you could consider like a party type song, but it's, it's called Bar Like This. And it's, basically just talking about the different kind of people you meet when you're that guy that's in a bar by yourself, kind of taking it in and drinking and doing what you got to do. But no, it's all relationship kind of stuff on this one. I went through terrible breakup this past year, so it's all that stuff. But in the terrible parts, there was also angry parts, so there's some fuck you songs on there.
Yeah,
like,
we love us some good.
Everybody loves good fuck you songs.
We love
man.
good fuck you songs.
Yeah, everybody
man.
loves good fuck you songs. But yeah, like so it's just like that mix of that real life kind of thing on this album, and I'm calling it Manchester. I grew up I'm living in Manchester, Tennessee.
Oh yeah.
So like that's my town. And that's where I've been living for the past few years, and that's where a lot of my life and real life stuff and songs have been coming from, is that little town. So
there was a big festival there.
Yeah, Bonnaroo.
Well, Bonnaroo's there, and then I'm talking about. Isn't there a rock one that they did too, like a metal one?
Maybe
that was around that area.
Yeah, I mean Manchester's
so
like.
It was like Exit 111 or something. That metal one that was down there. Did you go to that one or no?
No,
I feel like that'd be like right up your alley. That was like Slayer. forget who else, like Metallic, all these like heavy
Skinner
bands.
was on that too.
Skinner was on that. It was like a weird lineup
It
of
was
like
super crazy.
Southern rock, emo, heavy metal, 80s, all that shit. That's what I'm saying. Manchester's a good spot to be in because you're away from all the bullshit. Did you ever live in town, or were you in?
Yeah, dude, I hated it.
As I call it, L.A., the other LA, Lower Antioch.
Yeah, dude, I hated it. When I first came to town, they obviously wanted you to live in town as a writer.
Yeah.
Like, and especially artist writer, they want you to be able to come in on a whim on anything they had. So when I first came to town, I lived off 2nd Street in City View apartments.
Jeez.
Yeah, we're like the Titans, some of the Titan players and stuff were living there too. So that was kind of cool. But I hated being in town. Plus, I was a block and a half away from downtown, which is when you're here.
What was your bar?
When you're here and single, that's a terrible.
Yeah. What was
stage? The stage.
The stage was your bar.
I still love the stage. Like, don't
That's
get
your
twisted.
spot?
I still love the stage. But yeah, I still love stage. But yeah, so the stage was my spot. And I was like, well, this is not healthy for me.
Yeah.
So I moved to Franklin for a little while. And Franklin is nice, but it also is extremely bougie. And I liked living there because I had a backyard, and I was like, I wanted a dog, so I got a dog, and I had that whole thing. But then I realized that I'm not exactly the class to which people...
You're not HOA material.
Yeah,
I'm not either, so I feel that.
Like, I can't follow your bonfire rules, man. I just can't. So I was like, well, this is cool. And then when I signed my deal when I was still living in Franklin, and I called Colt. I was like, yo, I don't want to live in Franklin or in close to town anymore. Is it cool if I move? And he's like, I live in fucking Oklahoma. You can live wherever you want. So
Where does he live? He lives in Oklahoma?
Yeah.
He lives in Oklahoma?
Yeah.
He doesn't even live in Georgia?
No. I think he goes to Georgia, and I think it's like Athens area to be like with his kid, like he'll see his kids and stuff.
Yeah.
But he's got a house in Oklahoma. So does Justin, his violin player and aux guy.
Yeah.
They both live in Okie. Yeah.
They don't. So he's way the fuck out
Yeah.
there.
Oh yeah. So
yeah, you could live wherever the fuck you want.
Yeah, he's like, do what the fuck you want. So I literally moved.
What a cool guy to be signed with, dude.
The best, bro.
Yeah.
The best. So, and I tell people that all the time. Like, I have buddies who sign major labels, and I'm like, yeah, but how often does Espo call you? Like, he doesn't call you.
Yeah.
You know, like, how often does Gary O call you? He doesn't call you.
Yeah.
You know, Cole calls me all the time.
You
know,
probably FaceTime. You
I do.
He'll answer,
I'll be out on the road or whatever, and somebody be like, I fucking love Colt Ford. I'm like, oh, really? And I'll just FaceTime drunk, and like, it makes their people's day.
Yeah,
but like, that's the best part about being on a label that's ran by an artist is it's more artist friendly than anything. And
yeah.
He's taught me a ton. But yeah, he's been great. So then 3 years ago, I moved out to Manchester, and I'm on 17 acres out there in a cabin house. And
Dude, it doesn't get better than that.
I got a shooting range and a fishing pond.
You got a shooting range?
Yeah, man. Yeah, like the cool cowboy ones too, where you can knock over the metal plates.
Really?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Bring
That's
your
sweet boy. Sounds like we got to go. And
I was about to say.
he's a much better shot than I am. He's from Selma, Alabama. So
Shit.
he knows a thing or two about a thing or two when it comes to the guns and shit.
I'm slowly bringing all my guns up here.
Oh, dude, come on, man.
We got that, and then hell, we'll bring Trey on out there. He likes to fish, so I do too. But he'll definitely be throwing some.
Yeah, I got a shitload of tannerite too out there. So.
Oh, dude, yeah.
I'm definitely down.
Sounds like a music video, bro.
Yeah, dude, anytime.
That would have been perfect for this last one we just shot that we can't even talk about yet. But
Yeah.
Shit,
but,
dude. Anytime you need some country ass shit to come film, y'all, come on. Come hang out.
Dude, we would absolutely love that. Now, I got to ask you, this is where we might differ in opinions because we're both from the same region of the country. Mm-hmm. What's better, Sheetz or Wawa?
Oh, man.
What's better?
It depends on what you're after.
And
Like,
what time of the night it is or day.
Yeah. If you want a better bathroom, it's definitely not Wawa.
Oh,
Wawa's
bathrooms
bathrooms are
that's the
horrid, bro.
worst
That's where
part.
COVID started. I don't give a fuck what anybody said. That's where COVID started. Was in a Wawa bath. If it was a bat, that bat was in a Wawa bathroom for sure.
It was in Tom's River, New Jersey, in a Wawa.
legit. It was in that bathroom. So if you want a good bathroom, pick Sheetz.
Yeah. More stalls too. It's just a bigger
and cleaner. It's
Yeah.
just cleaner. If you want good coffee, it's Wawa.
Yeah.
If you want food, it's Sheetz.
Yeah, like I always used to hate on both because everybody would be like, go get a sandwich, go get a hoagie at Wawa. And I'd be like, why am I getting a sandwich at a gas station? I'm from New York. I got 25 delis within walking distance.
True.
Like,
And
let me
y'all
do
are
that.
like, New York sandwiches, bro, are like
Yeah, and it's the
deli
New
sandwiches.
York, New Jersey thing. Like we go back and forth. We're so similar.
the bread is way better.
Oh, dude, yeah, I actually brought back. We've got them in the freezer. Sweet Boy drove me to the airport, so I put people on the bagel list.
Oh,
That's
dude.
like a thing that I do. So
New York
we
bagels.
have a bakery by my place called or where I'm from called Rockland Bakery, and you go into the you go into like the factory part of it. The bread and bagels are coming down the conveyor belt. You
Yeah.
put on a glove, you grab them off the fucking conveyor belt, you put them
God.
in the bag. What I like to do is I like to grab the hard roll, like those round Kaiser rolls or the big heroes, take it to the deli section of the bakery, and you pull the number. They call your number, be like, hey, I want a chicken cutlet, fresh mozzarella on there, some lettuce, tomato. They put it on the piece of bread. You just piece of bread comes off the conveyor belt. It's in your hand. You're handing it to the guy at the counter. It's on a sandwich in 5 minutes.
Different experience.
It's great.
So I have a question for you. Since you bounce back and forth between Jersey and New York, where's the better pizza?
Fuck, this is gonna get me in trouble.
It is going to get you in trouble.
It's gonna get me in trouble.
Yeah.
One of my favorite slices is in Hoboken, New Jersey. It's called Benny Tudino's. And it's only my favorite because it's like twice the size of my head.
Yeah.
It's like this big. I just like it because sometimes size matters, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes it just does. So I like the Benny. I like that. But my favorite slice would be in New York City. It would be at Johnny's in the Village.
Really?
Johnny's in the Village.
How far is that from the bitter end? On Bleecker Street.
It's actually same kind of area. It's on the
Dude, I
it's in
think
the
that's
Village.
the place that I would get pizza from.
Yeah, Bleecker
Yeah.
Street is that whole area because there's Johnny's and there's Joey's and
Yeah.
they're like a block apart from each other and the Comedy Cellar's right there
Yeah.
and all that. And growing up, I'm a New York suburb kid, so
Yeah.
like I didn't grow up in the city. I used to say to my mom and dad, "Why can't the city just float away to England?
Yeah.
All of our problems in New York are in the city.
Yeah.
It's all bullshit. Like just get rid of it. There's
Yeah.
all this traffic, all this nonsense. I don't align with the New York City politics, all that. I'm like, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Leave my Yankees and leave me Madison Square Garden, and that's all I need. But then you move away and you learn to appreciate it more, you know?
Shit, dude, the city is. I did a residency at the bitter end every other Wednesday. I was the only country
Jeez.
band to play there, and I loved it, every second of it. Because, and you know that country music isn't, extremely appreciated in New York City.
Yeah.
But the people who do appreciate it fucking love it.
What's the furthest you drove to go to a show as a music fan in Maryland?
In stretch?
Like in a stretch to go to watch a show as a concert goer.
Shit, not far at all. Dude.
Not far at all?
No, Southern Maryland, they bring so much country artists.
I drove one time. And I had family up there. It was actually like night 2 or 3 of the Devil Don't Sleep tour. So it was Brantley.
shit.
Tucker Bethard was direct
I love
support.
Tucker Bethard, dude.
And then in front of Tucker Bethard was this up and comer named Luke Combs.
No
so
shit.
I drove 7 hours for that show at the Cross Insurance Arena. Like I used to drive so far to go and see the country shows. And because they weren't around a lot. So like there'd be people that would drive that still do. Morgan Wallen sold out MSG back-to-back nights middle of the week.
Yeah.
That's not easy to do. That's 25, 30,000 people. That's
Dude,
not easy.
the country fans in the city are legit.
Motherfuckers drive hours. They'll drive hours, get on a train for another hour or two, then go to the show, and then go all the way home.
My set in New York City started at 1:30 in the morning.
Oh yeah, late
on
night.
Wednesdays,
dude. Bitter end
on Wednesdays,
after hours bars, bro. Those are the shit.
And it was packed.
Yep.
And it was funny because Paul, the guy, rest in peace, when he ran it, he was like, I gave you boys the good set tonight. And I'm like, okay, cool, when? He's like, 1:30 a.m. And I was like, you're a fucking asshole. Like you're lying to me.
How long were the sets? Like
I would play an hour.
play an hour? Okay.
Yeah, hour. But I got everything.
Oh, them door deals are nice.
So and Paul was like, "No, dude, you trust me. 1:30 is a good time." So we'd be up there. We'd get there because it's New York City, and we have to park at the time we were traveling in a Class C fucking RV.
How many tickets did you guys get?
Oh, dude, it would be packed. I couldn't even tell you.
Well, I'm saying how many tickets for parking the RV?
Oh, well, that's
That's a pain in the
ton.
balls.
Well, this is a trick we found out because we played there every other Wednesday. If you got into the city at like 5:45, come 6 o'clock on that side, you could park, and that was it. That was it for the night. Like you didn't have to pay anything.
Yeah.
So we would pull in. We'd get there like super early. So then when he tells us we're playing at 1:30 in the morning, me and the guys would literally go out to the RV, go to sleep. wake up, and then go and play
It's
the
like
show.
you're on a bus gig.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So we literally play it. But God, I love those shows. And then I would go over and play the next day on Thursday nights at the Grape Room in Philadelphia.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so
Philly's a fun vibe for country music too.
bro.
It's,
Yeah.
So,
Well,
you've been to Reading Terminal.
yeah.
You've experienced
Yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people don't know, but people don't talk about, like, when people talk about Philly, and I hate the Eagle. Like, I'm New York sports all the way. Like, sorry, Jimmy Allen and all that. I don't know if you're probably you'd probably be what, a Skins fan?
Yeah. No, I don't
Ravens?
like the Skins either. I like the Ravens.
Ravens?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I respect the Ravens.
Yeah.
You guys
Yeah.
beat the shit out of us in the Super Bowl when I was a little kid with Ray Lewis after he killed those guys.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Well, that's why we won. They weren't trying to get murdered, bro.
But
They're like, no, Ray, you can have this one, bro. It's fine.
But people that when they talk about Philly don't talk about the Reading Terminal, but that place is badass.
Yeah.
It's like you're in a train station, but
Yeah.
they even got Amish people in there.
Honestly, Philly's a cool city, man.
It is. It gets a lot of shit.
Terrible to drive a bus through it. Have y'all done that yet?
No, these with Trey, we haven't been up to the Northeast at all.
Shit, man.
Which I've been telling him, like, get
I'm gonna
ready.
tell Trey, tip your bus driver when he goes through Philly, bro.
That's usually me driving
God,
an RV.
bro.
We're one of those bandwagon
Oh,
RV
he
things.
needs to pay you extra when you go through that son of a bitch because the lanes are terrible.
Oh, yeah, they're
bro.
tiny.
Terrible. I remember we did a bus gig in Xfinity Live in Philly.
Oh hell yeah, right outside the stadiums.
Yeah, and
Yep.
we played there, and I apologized to my bus driver the whole time. I was like, bro, and he's like, I do this all the time, man. It's fine. I'm like, no, it's not fine. Like, the fucking mirrors were this close to the cars next to us. It was so tight. But, yeah, Philly roads you got to do better.
Yep.
But their cheesesteaks are money.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite spot that you remember as far as cheesesteaks? I feel like you can go in anywhere and get them. It's not really that. People bitch about Geno's and Pat's and this and that and Ishkabibbles and
It's not Geno's or Pat's. I want to say it's something different. And I went there, and the local suggested it, and it was way better than Pat's and Geno's.
no line.
Yeah, no line. I can't remember what it was called. I want to say it was like Jimmy's or Jim's. Yeah, so I went to Jim's, and that was delicious. But I've done Pat's and Geno's. I got really fucked up one night at the Grape Room, and then after we got done, I'd never done the cheesesteak thing before. And again, I'm small, dude. I'm from a town of 1,500 people. So when you put me in a city, I'm like, and I was like, we got to do it all. So, bro, I literally went.
Gotta do it all.
I literally went and ate a cheesesteak at Geno's and fucking walked right over and got in line at Pat's and ate a fucking cheesesteak back to back. Dude, two of them.
I've done recently, because I've had a lot of people. Like, I've really started to kind of, when I go home to New York, I'm like, I gotta document this shit for the guys like him that are from Alabama and Mississippi, Georgia, all the southern folks that talk shit on New York. I'm like, I'm gonna do a whole pizza tour. I went home for Christmas. I had 15 different pizza places in the span of a week. I was going with my stepbrother. We were going. I felt so bad for him. He's a tiny little skinny, like scrawny dude, but he was like, I'll go with you. I'm like, we're gonna eat a lot of pizza. Like, I hope you're ready. Damn near killed him.
You didn't do the one bite. Everybody knows the rules.
I ate all. I'm not sure. I ain't just eating. I mean, he doesn't even take one bite anyway. But we would go from one place and then across the street to the other place and then around. Like, we drove through my whole county and we're just eating pizza, pizza.
Dude, I think about that too. Like, everybody wants to try something in a small time. Like when people go to Broadway and they're like, we want to go to all the bars. I'm like, well, you're going to get drunk at every single one of those bars. I hate to see you at the end of that son of a bitch. You know?
And I hate to see your wallet.
Dude. Yeah, I always tell people Printers. Like, go to Printers.
Yeah, Printers is a very, very low.
Don't listen.
Stay out of our.
Yeah, stay away.
What was the bar scene like when you first moved here? Because 8 years ago,
Awesome.
8 years ago, that's 2014.
This whole city was way better 8 years ago.
Yeah, that was when the boom was starting.
Yeah, it was way better. Like, there was no $30 parking. Everything was
How much was the drink at the stage? You probably knew everybody, so you probably were chilling.
Yeah, beers bottles are $4, and shots of Jack were $5. So like, it's not $9 anymore.
Dude, they don't even give you like a break as a musician down there anymore. Like, it's insane. Like, the only place I do, like, shout out Big Machine Distillery. Like, if you're playing down there, they hook you up, but everywhere else, no.
So, are you doing the Broadway stuff down there?
When I'm not playing with Trey,
Bro.
yeah.
God bless you. I'll pray for you, man. I can only imagine the experience now. How long have you been in town?
Barely a year.
Okay, so 8 years ago, a Broadway gig was a cool gig. Like you could kind of go down there. They didn't have the circus guardrails down there. None of that stuff existed. Like you could walk in and walk out of a bar.
Oh, you just park right out front of the bar and then load in.
Oh,
right.
dude, it's like I played there last night, like at Lucky Bastards, and on a Monday night, I was like, man, this is gonna be a cakewalk getting down there. No, I was pushing people out of the way, carrying my little drum cart, little thing. I'm like you see me walking here,
bro. Yeah, they see you and they don't give a shit. And like that whole thing was not it 8 years ago. It was like way cooler. Now it's like the frat bros that go down there and hit that and yell out Tyler Childers because they think they're being original. Like, is insane. Like, how many times you got to play Feathered Indians, bro? Be honest.
Every night.
And that dude, every dude that comes up to you thinks he's the most original fucker in that bar, too.
White House
play
Road.
Feathered Indians, or you don't like country music.
I can't dig at it too much because we have one of those songs that is like...
Dick Down in Dallas. Yeah. That's a $100 Broadway song.
Hell yeah.
And we always get asked to play it, and I'm just like, not until somebody puts that money in that jar.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting up here, I don't care if I play in the band or not. Until that $100 is it. Until that $100 in that bucket, I ain't playing it.
Oh man, that's so crazy to me. I could never do it.
What are some of your favorite spots here in town, though? Like food wise, we got a lot of Mexican food down here, which I did not expect when I moved down here from the north. I guess we're closer to the border, so it makes sense that the South would have a ton of Mexican. I just didn't imagine there'd be a lot of Mexicans here. Yeah. What's like your favorite Mexican spot,
bro? So I'm gonna tell you because you'll know where it is, and I don't think anybody else will be ballsy enough to go down Nolensville. So Nolensville, there's this place called Los Arcos. We call it L.A., and it's my favorite Mexican restaurant.
Is that the one that all the famous people have been in, where they have like the pictures on the wall? Because there's a spot in Nolensville that's next to some
ain't no famous people going in this place.
No,
is this the one Matt Wallis told us about?
It might have been the one Matt told us about.
We call it L.A. Most people who eat there call it L.A., but it's called Los Arcos. It's on Nolensville, and it's not too far off from Average Joe's building. I'm trying to remember what it's across the street from. It's like right next. Yeah, it's by the zoo.
Oh,
right across
it's
the street
down
from the zoo.
there. I used to live right over there. Yeah,
right across the street from the zoo.
You're gonna get the authentic shit down there. That's for sure.
So good. But if you want the best steak fajita in the world, you don't go to Nashville. There's a place in Franklin called Garcia's, and it's the absolute best steak fajita you've ever had.
Really?
Period. Yeah, it's so good.
Gonna have to try that.
Can't be beat. I mean, even like in California where they pride themselves on tacos and steak and all that shit. Like, trust me, you ain't beating these people.
Favorite place that you've been, like, to touring around the country? Because you've been all over the place. You've done the West Coast stuff. You've done the Southern stuff. You done Texas? You done Texas yet?
Yeah, you'll like this one. My favorite show I've ever played was Forest Hill Stadium in New York.
No shit.
Yeah, I played there with Leonard Skinner and Hank Williams Jr.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think that's just because it's in Forest Hill. I think that's because you were with both Cephas and...
Yeah, first stadium show I've ever played, and it was unbelievable. So, like, that's my jam.
Yeah.
But, like, I'll always love, going home and playing the Maryland gigs and stuff that I dreamt to play when I was a kid.
You ever played the Rusty Rudder?
Yeah, no, haven't played Rusty Rudder.
Really?
No, never played the Rudder. But it was because I had deals and like non-competes in Ocean City, so I'd play Ocean City, and them people are mad competitive. Bro.
Yeah, they are.
Delaware and Ocean City, like just that spot, like Ball and Cork. If you play Cowboy Coast in Ocean City, you ain't playing Ball and Cork, and vice versa. They hate each other. So like I would play those spots in the summer in Ocean City because I'm a Maryland kid, so they want the Maryland kid in Maryland. Yeah. So I would go and play, and they would do the non-competes. They paid well for it, so I wasn't.
How many times have you blacked out at Secrets?
Fucking never.
You've never been to Secrets?
No, I hate that place.
Locals don't like going there?
I hate that place.
See, as a New York Jersey guy, I'm like, that's like the spot.
I hate that place, bro. I hate that place. Yeah, I mean, no offense, Secrets, but that bar sucks. Like,
is it just because it's all the bennies in there?
So if you go in there and you're on the beach side and you're just like eating and you're getting some jerk chicken and a drink, cool. But if you go in that nightclub, I hate that nightclub. And they brought me in there to try to experience it, to be like, oh, you should play here. And I made them take me backstage because I hated it so much down in the pit. I hate that place. Well, and they fight all the time. Yeah. And people like, fuck that.
It's the equivalent to like Bar A or Jenks or one of those.
But see, I want to play Jenks.
Jenks is really cool.
I've never played Jenks, and I want to play Jenks.
Yeah, that's where I
love those like beachy clubs in Jersey, like like one of my favorite places I played at Cadillac 3 was Stone Pony.
Yeah.
I loved Stone Pony.
Yeah, Asbury
man.
Park's a really cool
God,
town. House of Independence there is really cool.
Bro.
Wonder Bar is cool. They've got a lot. Asbury Park's a cool
It wasn't.
little
The people
town.
were fucking dope, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm telling you, sometimes Jersey gets a bad rap, man, but like there's some good people.
There's some good people.
Some great people.
Yeah.
I did a Backyards and Bonfires tour during COVID.
Yeah.
Where everything was
I saw
shut down.
that.
And I literally went around and traveled the country and played people's backyards.
You probably did a lot in the Northeast.
Well, I did.
I feel like a
I
lot of
went
people-
all over from California to back. I played 90 shows during COVID, and
Dude, let's go.
yeah, and played people's backyards. It was a fucking blast. I put 120,000 miles on my Chevy and drove across the country and did it. It was amazing. And I played 2 or 3 in South Jersey, and those were some of the best people ever, man. Just hospitable.
Yeah, and
awesome
that's
people.
that's like a good experience, just mental journey, driving with your team, like with your crew, just doing that during COVID when everybody else is sitting inside, like you're finding a way, you're adapting to it, and you're just that's got to be cool to just drive around the country like
Bro,
that.
made me re-love what I do. Like, being a bus act is a different experience than being the small club act. Like when you're out on a bus and doing that kind of stuff, it's basically a circus. You go out there, you dance around for 45 minutes, they pay you, everybody gets paid, and then you get back on the bus and you go to the next place. There's no freedom in that at all.
Yeah.
Most of the time, me and my guitar player, Alex Seller, who went on tour with me for the Backyards, he would find ways for me to sneak off after those shows so I could just live a little.
Yeah.
Because I hated it. And he could tell I was just like not into it because I felt like a puppet. I didn't feel like a person anymore.
Yeah.
When you play with major acts, there's certain rules.
Oh, yeah.
You know
Oh,
this.
yeah.
You're not allowed to go out there in the crowd during their set. You can't go hang with people during their play time because it's distracting to the crowd. There's certain times you can go out to your merch table. It's normally when the whole damn thing is over with. So you have so many rules you have to follow, and connection to people is why I like music so much. I like to connect with people.
And that's what your fans, as a guy that is one of your fans, loves what you do.
Well, when you
because
take it away from me, not only do the people who have related to me to be able to talk to me, they don't like that. I don't like it either.
Yeah.
Like when I can't go hang out with people, like I would get in trouble all the time when I was on William Morris, breaking the fucking rule of you can't party while. And I'm like, man, fuck, he's Rodney Atkins. I'm gonna go out there with people and drink a beer and let's sing, about nuggets. I'm gonna do it. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. So I did, and when you take that away from me, it's rough. So Backyards and Bonfires, like I didn't have any bus driver that was like, well, we're parking and that's it. I had my truck and I could go do whatever I wanted. And dude, we saw everything. I went to Mount Rushmore. I went to Sturgis. I went to what is it called? Deadwood.
South Dakota's dope. I like South Dakota a lot.
Went to the original Starbucks in Seattle. I got bougie, did that.
Nice little mixture of redneck and bougie.
Yeah. I caught giant catfish in North Carolina. I rode side-by-sides on giant fields in Pennsylvania. Like, I did some shit. Like, I had a good time. I lived the most life I ever lived in 2020.
It's like a movie.
Yeah.
Just getting to do experiences. It's like you're living like you're dying, but you're not dying. Knock on wood.
Legit. And I didn't film any of it because I could have definitely been incriminated. And,
well, that factors into. Factors into.
Yeah.
I keep a phone bin on our vehicle in like our green room area for certain things,
That's good. Oh, you're the phone collector?
Well, I'm the tour manager.
Dude,
so
that's
I'm
a
the
tough job, bro.
Yeah, I'm the phone. Well, yeah, there's other times that you got to do what you got to do, You got to.
Is it easier? This is a question I wanted to ask you. Is it easier being out with an artist that sobriety is a focus than being out with an artist that sobriety is not a focus?
So both. So it's funny because Trey is sober. Charlie from Muscadine is sober. Really? So and it's funny because you would think like though. The Muscadine guys, not as much of partying. I always say a wild night with them was going to Waffle House after the show, whatever town we were in, and I'd be a little stoned off my dad pen and sometimes make an ass out of myself. And they would just laugh at me and be like, "This is just the merch guy, whatever, doing my thing." With our crew, with Trey, the band parties.
Yeah,
we have a bottle of Fireball and a case of Miller Lite. It's in the green room every show. It's usually gone after every show.
So they rock.
They rock, but after the show, business gets done, and then you let them run free. They're good dogs. They always come home. If there hasn't been, they have not missed. We had one moment in Montgomery, Alabama, where they were like a few minutes late, but
We're like 10 minutes.
they were like 10 minutes late, but from a place which, if you ever get a chance, you should look it up. Range 231. It's called Trailer. They call it the Trailer Bar. It's like a redneck Top Golf. It's a trailer bar. Dope. One of the wildest places I've ever experienced. But we were playing down there, and they ran off and did their thing. But they made it back in the morning. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to. I'm a sober guy too. I'm 6 years off booze. I'm
awesome,
California sober, so I smoke. I still do my smoke and toke, but no drinking. So it's nice to be with an artist that's not doesn't get as wild, but Trey is like the drunkest sober guy you'll ever meet. Really? He loves to. I say he likes to stir the pot more than my mom does when she's making her penne vodka. You know, like he's a character, and he's a lot of fun and stuff. But they're definitely different cultures between the two of them.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know, and it's like Trey and the guys came right off doing the cover band stuff, like the DDID, the Dick Down stuff happened right in the midst of them getting back into doing stuff during 2020. Whereas like Gary and Charlie had been away from the cover scene for a minute. Yeah. So it's like,
I always pictured those dudes being super serious. I always respected how
they had their back in the day. They had their times. It's funny because a lot of the guys out of the Southeast came up playing the same gigs. Everybody went through Statesboro, Georgia, from Luke Bryan and Cole Swindell to Muscadine and Trey, and there's guys coming up doing it now. They went through Birmingham, they went through Tuscaloosa, Auburn, Athens, like all those college towns. So Gary and Charlie back in their day, I'm sure they tied them on back in the day. There's a reason Good Time Charlie don't drink anymore. Yeah. But yeah, it's cool to get to experience that. And
that's awesome. Is it tough for you be on the road doing that?
Trying
to stay sober?
Nah, with being with Trey, not at all. Nice. Trey's like Trey at one point was sponsoring people. He's very involved in the program, and he just celebrated 15 years.
Damn, dude, that's awesome.
15 years off booze, pill, off everything. So he does nothing. He has his vape and he has his can of Skull Peach that's sitting here. But yeah, being out with him, I never have an urge for any of that stuff. Dude, that's awesome. Then with Muscadine, there was never really an urge at all because it's hotel, and now they're doing it in a bus, and their years of grinding in the van. They're
I was pumped to see them on a bus, man.
Me too, man. And
they rode that, and that was something that I respected the shit out of too. They rode that Sprinter long, like they could have gone bus, but they were just super smart, responsible, serious about.
Well, what they did for a while was they just had Charlie's Avalanche. They bought an Avalanche, and they drove. They were a three-piece. It was Gary, Charlie, and their drummer Zoltan, and they would just go up and down 65 and then cross over to Mississippi a little bit. And then their first Sprinter, they bought off of Luke Combs when he got into his first bus. They bought Luke's Sprinter from him. Damn. And then they sold that Sprinter to Jordan Fletcher. And then Jordan... Funny, it was one of my first gigs with them. It was at the Buckhead Theater in Atlanta. It was Muscadine, Jordan Fletcher, Joe Fortner, and Jordan was coming down from Nashville, and he got T-boned. Oh, the Sprinter was like totaled.
Oh shit!
It's like first week after he bought it. It was like his first run with it. But it was just wild.
I like him too, man. He's got
Jordan's really good people. He's sober as well, and he started out. His first gig in town was he played in Job. Him, Ryan Nelson, all those guys used to play in Job's band. But Jordan was one of Muscadine's first merch guys.
No shit.
And that's how he started writing songs.
How's Job Fortner doing?
Job's hanging in there. Yeah, he's still doing his.
I haven't seen him
in a minute either. But I had some good times with him.
I played a show with him, and he sang that Georgia song, and I was just like,
yeah, he's got pipes.
Holy shit,
he's got that southern rock thing going where.
Got the hair and the flip flops.
Dude, he's actually up in Penn. They're doing I forget what it's called, but they're doing a project. Him, Ryan Nelson, and Big Rob Snyder. Oh Jesus! It's a reggae like southern rock thing. They recorded it at.
There's a lot of cigarettes being smoked.
Oh, there's more than just cigarettes being smoked. It's all left and right hand. Yeah. Up at Bam Margera's place. Oh, really? The studio that he has. Jesus. They went up to Westchester and recorded like a reggae rock.
Did they send a film guy?
They did.
That's a Netflix series.
I'll never forget when we were at Joe's on Weed. Like we carried Ryan out with us.
Oh, Ryan! Do you know Ryan Nelson? Have you partied with him?
I know of him. Yeah, no, I've never partied with him.
He was outside at 1 p.m. I'm standing out there with him. He turns on Bob Marley, smoking a cigarette, a joint in the other hand, and just barefoot in Chicago, like just standing on the side of the road. just watching him dance, and he's like, "Man, listen to this," and I'm like,
Yeah,
any dude that can confidently wear a button-up shirt, one button off.
He was wearing his little
one button off like that, bro.
We say that Ryan Nelson is. We have a joke that he's gonna run for mayor of Nashville.
I'd vote for him.
Well, he's got a political science degree, and he's technically a registered Democrat, so he could go against Cooper in the primary.
No shit.
So we've made a whole bit of this thing. We've got it ready to go.
He's a Democrat?
He's
registered as one, from back in the day when he was a hippie.
He's going to get signed up for
so
sure.
he could go against, but he doesn't think like one now, so he could just go against him in the primary.
I
would be cool.
I would vote for Ryan.
Yeah, and but we'd say
think of merch, man.
We've looked into buying a billboard. They're not that expensive. If you go a little, probably be down by
Let me know
you
if
in
you need a
Manchester.
sponsor, bro. Let me know if you need a sponsor.
Hey, you know what his slogan is?
I'd buy a damn Ryan fucking.
His slogan's probably show up drunk.
Yeah, Ryan Nelson.
Exactly.
Ryan Nelson for mayor. I'll probably show up drunk. But if you looked up like Florida man in the dictionary, it would be a picture of Ryan Nelson with 100%. His one button shirt with his.
And it's always off one. It's always off one button.
He played. We just did what you're playing around later tonight, which I'm super stoked about to have you playing and everything around Live Oak. We did one. We did like an event with our friends from Whaletail Media. Our last round that we did, we had Ryan play full band. Dang. Ryan's up there with it was with the Grady. I don't know if you know Grady Saxman, Saxman Studios guys.
Yeah, Saul come out and play.
Yeah. So there was those guys because Ryan records with them and stuff. Ryan's up there barefoot.
Oh God!
Ryan's up there barefoot. I think his shirt was fully unbuttoned, McElwain. Yeah, his shirt fully unbuttoned, shorts.
That's how you know it's a good show.
His mullet, long hair thing, and he's just up there being like, "Live Oak, what the fuck is?" Like just rocking it. He looks, it's just very strutting around up there. Dude, he's a one of a kind.
Thank you for not putting me in the same round as Andrew, by the way, Janakis.
Oh, dude, Jackalope can sing.
Fuck, you want to talk about any singer ever not wanting to be around with that guy.
Like, yeah, we got some good ones. Like this round, I'm very excited about because I've got kicking it off. We got all these new cats from North and South Carolina. Nice. Connor Sweeney, Presley Aaron, those guys. Second round, you and Josh, which is really cool because you guys are homies. Yeah. And then Cassidy Daniels, who I don't know if you're familiar with yet. She's 23, one of the freaking wildest voices.
Really?
Like she just hits the badass.
Oh, so you did do me dirty.
No, I didn't. I put two talented dudes with two talented chicks, and then Brooke Lee, who's from the Gastonia, Charlotte area, North Carolina. She's more like that Americana style. So that'd be a really cool round. And then Andrew and Brian Fuller and Jeb Gibson and Dexter in that one. And then to close it out, Johnny Clausen, Jordan Dawsey, and Kyle Starak, who are doing some big things in the writing rooms right now. Yeah. So it's gonna be a fun fucking night.
Yeah, I did a round with Josh for the Songwriter Festival in town. What is that? What was that
Tin
one?
Pan?
Tin Pan. And Josh was in the round with me. And it was me, Josh, another guy named Johnny Gates, and Madeline Merlot. Is that her name? And I purposely put Madeline Monroe and me in between me and Josh so I didn't have to play before or after his number one hits. So you'll strategically see me sit somewhere else.
Oh, yeah.
Tonight I'll probably sit on the other side. Right in wherever he's sitting, I'm going to sit on the other seat over.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, Josh is great, man. Plus he's got some great music coming out too.
Yeah, dude, and he's in the family. I know he's a homie of yours, and it'll be cool to do all
Tony
that.
gone such a jam, dude.
Yeah. He's the man. But dude, thanks for coming on here. And new music you said coming out. We're still pushing. We're pushing out singles. Yeah. Record October.
Yep, record October.
Manchester.
Yeah, it's called Manchester.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah, and first single, our next single coming out August. Single after that, September. Album in October.
Let's fucking go, dude.
Yeah, man.
Hell yeah, man. Well, I really appreciate you
man.
coming on and doing this, and looking forward to a great night over at Live Oak as well.
Yeah.
Guys, be sure to check out our boy Sam Grow. And thank you guys as always for watching and listening to the In the Round podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, rate, comment, tell your grandma, tell your mama and them. If you're back home in Jersey, Philly, comment and see or I guess in Pennsylvania and Maryland, tell us which one you like better, Sheetz or Wawa, because don't go take a shit in Wawa. It'll be a horrible experience. Shit in Sheetz, and the food is very good for you.
Exactly.
So go check that all out. And thanks again, as always, for listening. We will see you all next time. This has been the In the Round podcast.